Hi, everybody. It's Gene Simmons, and you're not, and you're listening to the Potter Than Hell podcast with Steve, BC, BB, and Dylan. But you knew that, didn't you?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is your last stop on the crazy train of hard rock and heavy metal. So sit back, buckle in, and hang on. Here we go. Hello, Potter Than Hellions, and welcome back to the Potter Than Hell podcast. I am your host for this episode, Dylan, and I am joined as always by
BC,
as well as
BB.
The Podfester himself, Steve, cannot be here. He's too busy living it up in Myrtle Beach, golfing. You know, he works hard, or he's hardly working.
He hardly works for his money.
Yeah.
So he's out chasing his balls around.
Yep, exactly. BC, you're an avid golfer, right?
I've been known to hit a ball or two.
Yep.
I'm more Happy Gilmore type of golf.
Runs up to the ball.
Runs up to the ball.
Like a slap shot. Got the hockey puck putter. Not the hockey puck. Hockey stick putter. Well, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. We are fast approaching the 200th episode next week. Our two-parter, big two-parter. That was a lot of fun to record. Does anybody want to give a little sneak peek at how fun it was? Like, what did you guys think? No spoilers, but what did you think of?
I think having 8 guys in a room talking about one topic, I thought that was pretty fucking cool, because there's not many podcasts out there that'll have 3 guys, let alone 8.
Yeah.
But it was a really great time when everybody gets together and talks about certain subjects.
Yeah, a lot of fun ideas being thrown around, a lot of jabs, of course. BC, did you have a good time?
Of course I did. It reminded me of when we went to, what's that, Potter and Hell? The
Rocket Pod
in Nashville. A bunch of us went back to the hotel. It was me, Steve. Were you there that year? I'm losing track. Everything blurs.
The only year I didn't go
in the lobby.
The first year.
Yeah, I was there. That was fun.
We all sat there.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It reminded me of that.
Dave Ellison walks by. It was like, hey.
But just throwing the shit. But this time we recorded our conversation this time.
It was a lot of fun, and we're really excited for everybody to listen to it. Going to be a 2-parter. First part's going to come out Friday, and then the second part's going to come out that following Tuesday. And then we'll be back to regularly scheduled program, hopefully with Steve back in the saddle with us. Fun topic, I think, actually, after that one, so I'm looking forward to that. But before we get to that topic, we have to get through this episode. So what are we listening to? BC, what have you gotten on the turntable recently?
I'm still rocking the End Machine Phase 2.
Okay.
I'm pleasantly surprised. I was a little nervous going into it when they said it was going to come out, but I like it front to back.
Nice. How about you, BB? What have you been listening to?
I spun the debut album of the Damn Yankees. It seems like these guys, I always go back to their 2 albums that they released. But that first debut album is so good. Such a great super group. You know, I keep saying this over and over and over, and I'm going to say it one more time. I would love to see these guys get back together and do a little tour. You know, maybe their first album was released in 1990, so, well, we're past the reunion time, yeah. So maybe we'll go 35 years.
35. Well, each individual member plays songs from Damn Yankees when they're solo stuff,
when they're doing
their own
stuff,
bands.
Yeah.
So they clearly like the songs.
So just get out and go and play them.
Get back together, damn it.
Well, I'll keep my fingers crossed for that.
Yeah.
Because Ted won't be on the mic, so that'll be that'll be okay for me. I've been listening to a little AC/DC. I was listening to Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Love me some Bon Scott era AC/DC. It got spawned on when Big Balls was actually playing on the radio when we were going to the last recording. And I just was thinking, it's been a while since I put this album on. Might as well give it a spin. And it's just a classic. It's fantastic. So that's what we've been listening to. BC has been listening to the End Machine 2. Much better than the first album from all accounts. BB has been listening to the Damn Yankees debut eponymous album. And then I've been listening to Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap by AC/DC. So, the topic for tonight, Foo Fighters. We're back again with the Foo Fighters we're back again with Foo Fighters since Steve is gone and he doesn't have to listen to it. We did the first 3 albums last time, it was me and you, I believe, BB.
Yeah, but I think these guys were I think you were on the Kiss cruise.
I think you guys were on the cruise, yeah, when we did that.
We did the Foo Fighters one time, and then we did the Black Label Society.
The Black Label Society.
The Masters of Rock.
Might have been the
that's what
Monsters
it
of
was.
Rock. It might have been the Monsters of Rock.
Last year.
But you guys missed out on it. You're here this time. Honestly, I feel like the albums might have been a little better, in my opinion, last time. But there are some gems on these next albums. So the last albums that we covered were the self-titled Foo Fighters debut album. And then the next one was The Color and the Shape. And then finally, There Was Nothing Left to Lose. So I'm going to do a little background before we get to the first album we're going to be talking about. So they finished There's Nothing Left to Lose. It comes out in 1999. They win a couple Grammys for it. And at this point, they're a 3-piece. So it's Dave Grohl on guitars and vocals, Taylor Hawkins on drums, and Nate Mendel on bass. So they're shopping around for new lead guitarists, and they come across Chris Shiflett, who was big in the band Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. You might have heard of them. They did like punk covers of popular songs like Car to Glass by Blondie. Like they do like all these punk covers of these popular songs. And he gets discovered. He joins the band, but it could not be a worse time because the band is kind of fighting with each other. Taylor Hawkins had a heroin overdose in France, I believe, and they kind of took a break from that. And Dave Grohl went to play with Queens of the Stone Age. He was drumming for them, and that's where we get No One Knows from, is during that era.
Oh, okay.
So he's having so much more fun with Queens of the Stone Age than he is with the Foo Fighters, because like they'll go into the recording studio and they'll just argue. And Chris Shiflett said there would be days where they wouldn't record; they would just sit and talk and argue with each other throughout the whole thing.
Is this Kiss in 1978?
It might very well be. And like it gets to the point where they're thinking of calling it quits. They record this album, and the producer is like, "We could put this album out, but nobody's going to release it. Like nobody's going to listen to it. Nobody's going to buy it because it sucks." So they scrap the entire album, except for like one part that I'll point out, and then they re-record it, but not until they play Coachella. And it's like Dave is basically like, listen, this is gonna be our last show. Like this is like, if we don't do well with this, if we're not having fun, let's just call it quits. Because I'm playing with Queens of the Stone Age earlier in the set, and like it's him and Taylor basically like really going at it because he's really pissed at Taylor for the drug stuff and like not taking care of himself because they're really good friends. So they play Coachella and they have a fantastic time. They're gelling again. The band is back together. They're really digging it. So they go and they record One by One, which releases in 2002. And they re-record everything in April and May. It was over the course of like a few weeks that they re-recorded basically the entire album in Dave Grohl's Studio 606 in Alexandria, Virginia. The producers are Foo Fighters, Adam Kasper, and Nick Raskulinecz. I butchered that name for sure. And this was basically their return after kind of like the 4-year gap between the last album and this one. So it was a pretty decent gap. The band almost broke up, but they came together to get this album out. So a little bit of personnel. Dave Grohl's on lead vocals, backing vocals, rhythm guitar, lead guitar, piano on the song Come Back. Nate Mendel's on bass. Taylor Hawkins is on drum, percussion, and he does lead vocals on, I believe, a bonus track, Life of Illusion, Joe Walsh cover. And Chris Shiflett's on lead guitar, rhythm guitar, and lead vocals on another bonus track, Danny Says, which is BB's favorite band, the Ramones cover. We won't be talking about those covers, though, because they are bonus tracks. Then additional musicians, here are the people that guested on some of the tracks. Brian May, the Queen guitarist, did guitar on Tired of You, and you could very much tell it's him because of the guitar tone. Chris Novoselic, the former bassist from Nirvana, did backing vocals on Walking a Line. And then Greg Bissonette, who's been the drummer for David Lee Roth, and Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, a lot of different musicians, does the drums on Danny Says. Again, we're not going to be talking about that song. But the songs we are going to be talking about, some of these are my favorite from the Foo Fighters. Some of them are not. So the opening track, All My Life, right out of the gate, this is one of my favorite Foo Fighters songs of all time. It just punches you in the teeth. It starts off with a very quiet guitar, and you could feel the anticipation building, and Dave comes in with the very quiet vocals, almost whispering them, and then the bombast comes in with the rest of the band, and there's a good showcase of Dave's vocals in terms of the lower side, and then he does the screaming towards the end in the middle of the song. There's some really great instrumental parts throughout this whole song. It's a great way to open up an album, and honestly, it's one of my favorite songs to hear from them live as well, because they translate that energy really well. The next song is Low. It's got a cool, mysterious rocking riff, some breathy vocals in the verses. The drums are really going for a ride. Taylor Hawkins, he does drum fills like nobody else. He's a madman. And it works. It's not overplaying. It works for the song. It just feels like he's just going to town. Creepy lyrics, though. That's like, me and you are going nowhere. I'm right beside you. And the way he sings the lyrics are very, very creepy. There's a really cool change up during the Take You As Low As You Go part. Really like that. Cool, fast picking throughout the song. And a really nice ending to end the song. The next track, Have It All. Nice rocking groove after some cool riffing stuff in the beginning. Light vocals for the chorus, different for Dave a little bit. Nice playful main riff. I really enjoy the main riff. A cool tempo change towards the back end. And the band does tempo changes really well. I love when they switch it up in the middle of songs. That's my favorite when they do that. Times Like These, another single off the song, a classic for them. Really interesting time signature. You can never quite figure it out the first time you listen to it, but it's just such an uplifting song, and Dave's vocals are really just beautiful in the song, and it's a hopeful song for me. I get very excited when I hear it. And of course they do an acoustic live, which is a little disappointing because I love the energy of the electric version. Then we have Disenchanted Lullaby, cool intro guitar scale, echoey, trippy vocals at the beginning, kind of a different timing going on. The kick-in is really cool with the stomping riff. And again, we have Dave's yelling vocals, which is my favorite Dave vocal. Tired of You. Quiet, slow, palm muted guitar work at the beginning. This is where Brian May's guitar comes in. You can very much hear the Red Special guitar tone. Very noticeable tone. You kind of expect the song to kick in, though, and it never really does. It kind of just keeps at that one pace. So that's a little disappointer. But I think it's made up for with Halo. Nice upbeat rocker. The chorus is a little weak. The verses and the bridge are really good, but there's a really epic part where he builds and crescendos into this high note that he sings. And then there's a really nice solo kind of part that really makes the song towards the end that I really enjoy. Lonely As You, the guitar and vocals start just alone before we kick into the full band. There's another cool solo-ish part. There's not a lot of straightforward guitar solos with Foo Fighters in this era. Just kind of melody parts that are played on top of chords, but still really nice to hear them. And then yet again, he gets to the yelling, and I love the yelling. Overdrive is probably one of my favorite songs towards the back end of the album. Really nice, bouncy, bubbly song. It feels real upbeat. I really enjoy it for that because some of these songs are really darker for me. Burn Away, you got a slower tempo. I don't like this slow of a tempo, like right at the end. I wish it had a little more get up and go this late into the album. The vocals, the emotional vocals towards the end, though, were really nice, but the instrumentals are a little repetitive for my liking. And then Come Back, the last song on the album. Very grungy guitar start. I do like the chorus, and like there's a nice energy to the chorus, but again, it's really repetitive. Some of the vocals. The acoustic guitar interlude's really fun, and you could feel the build up coming. And then there's some real tasteful soloing happening with that. The good instrumentation is just like building, and then it like stops for a little bit, and then it has like a real big kick in with the original riff that I really enjoy, and then it fades out on the I Will Come Back, which is a very fitting fade out to the album. So what do you guys think of the first album, One by One? BB?
It's funny how you said before you weren't going to hear anything from the bonus tracks, but I thought some of those bonus tracks were fantastic.
Oh, yeah?
What'd you like?
For All the Cows, I love that song. I love that song
from the first album,
and it's actually recorded live,
yep.
And also the other live one, Monkey Wrench, which brings me right back to Guitar Hero from our last episode, and then I never heard that Danny Says song because I'm not too close with the Ramones.
Do not like the Ramones.
But I'm like, boy, this is very either Beach Boy or Weezer-ish.
Yep.
And when you said Ramones, I'm like, Ramones? That didn't even sound like a Ramones cover to me. But really enjoy this album. This may be the last album that I had in the Foo Fighters collection, especially easily the ones that we're talking about tonight.
Yeah.
But I really, really enjoyed it. A couple of the ones I like Disenchanted Lullaby. That second half of that song where that song kicks in, such a great tempo changer in that song. Love that. Another one I really enjoy, Low. It's just like it's like a heavy grunge. It's like a dark sounding groovy song. Another favorite of mine is Halo. It's very it's like a very happy song with like very heavy undertones. There's like a little very short 7 to 10 second solo that really fits in that song perfectly. And I'm gonna be stepping on your coattails all night long because I love when Dave Grohl screams his vocals.
Yeah,
that's my favorite Foo Fighters sound. In Halo, that last verse that he screams is just so stinking, like, it puts your hairs stand up on the back of your neck. It's so good.
Yeah.
And then probably my favorite one off this album is the opener, All My Life. This is the Foo Fighters sound that I like. The big drums, the time changes, the gritty guitar sound. Dave's screaming vocals are spot on. And like I said, this is where after this album, this is where they kind of lost me. Mm-hmm. But this is a great album front to back. There was easily no skippers on this one. So this is a great way to start off the episode.
Yeah. BC, did you love it as much as BB did?
I will confess I'm not a huge Foo Fighters guy, but by no means is fault my own. But I have their CDs here and there, not all of them. But this one, I mean, not bad. I mean, the first half of this album to me is good, and then they lose me the second half. Not that it's bad or anything. Mm-hmm. It's just that there's good parts, and then there's parts that you're like, But like I said, All My Life is probably one of my favorite. I just love the heaviness and the ride cymbal in the chorus part. I believe that is Low. I like that riff, and to me, the drum, just the way he's drumming that song, sticks out. And times like these, I just like that groove that song. And this chanted lullaby, BB said it, like the second part when he kicks in, and to me that's the Foo Fighters I like. And then Tired of You, that's where they started losing me. There's good parts throughout the rest of these songs, but not the whole song.
Okay.
So they kind of, it was up.
I know what you mean. There are a couple songs. There are a couple songs. I didn't write them down, but like, well, that's a really cool part. And you're like, then it loses you for a second. It comes back. I'm like, oh yeah.
It didn't lose you. It was too much up and down for me.
Yeah.
But overall, enjoyable album, and I agree with both of you. I'm more of it when Dave Grohl's like, when he starts getting angry. I love that.
And you can definitely say the Foo Fighters are not like Def Leppard.
No.
They do not. Every song is pretty much different on this whole album. It's tough to pinpoint their sound because I think they have so many different combinations of tones they use. Yeah. You know?
And it's interesting that you mentioned that you like the top half in the front because the first 4 songs were the singles from the album. So they front-loaded it. And that's actually a common complaint about this album is that it's so front-loaded with all these great songs and that the back half kind of loses fillers. It because of that. And I think you're right. Like there's parts of the songs that I really love.
They stick out. You're like, yeah, and all of a sudden it goes back to like.
And that becomes more and more prevalent as we go in these albums for me. Like there will be parts that I'm like, yes, if they just keep going with this riff, I'm on board. This is amazing. But then they'll switch to something else, and I'm like, okay, I liked what you were doing before, but can we get back to that? But I think that those were really good points that you brought up, BC. Do you have anything else to add?
Not for this one.
Okay. Yeah, so this one was pretty well received. It was nominated for 2 Grammys, and it won the 2 Grammys. It was nominated for Best Hard Rock Performance for All My Life, and it won because that song kicks ass. One of their best songs of all time. If you listen to that song and you're a rock fan and you go out and you say, meh, you're not listening to it. It's so good.
Get the Sunny Pooty. Meh.
And then the album itself, One by One, won Best Rock Album. And I actually kind of want to see who they were up against for that category. Let's see. They were up against Audioslave, Evanescence, Matchbox 20, and Nickelback. So
Audioslave won because it's in alphabetical order.
No, Foo Fighters won that one.
Did they?
Yeah. Foo Fighters won this one. This was...
Oh, wait, this isn't the heavy metal category. I'm sorry.
This is the rock. This is the generic rock.
This is the ones they listen to.
Yeah. So, They finish up one by one. The band's back together. They're a little more cohesive now. Dave wasn't really sure what he wanted to do with the band after this because they had kind of a high with this album. And he started writing acoustic songs. He didn't really want to change the band, like the thrust of the band. So he was like, hey, I might do a solo record. And then I think Nate Mendel was like, hey, whatever songs we write are what the Foo Fighters are. So we're not tied down to any sound. It's just we're Foo Fighters, and we're going to do anything. So they decided to do the trendy thing and do a double album, which, as we know, does not usually work out for bands. A very rare case when a double album is a home run because it's just like it gets the bloat. But the way they do the double album is very different than what we normally see, because usually the double album, it's basically just a long version of a single album, like Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. It's basically just one long album split into two. But the way they do it is they have one CD, and this was in the CD days, everybody. If you don't know what CD are, ask your grandparents. One of the CDs, the first one, is the heavy rock stuff, the Foo Fighters that we know and love. And then the second CD is all acoustic songs. And actually, they did a tour where they basically did that format as well, but we'll get to that after this. So we're going to cover the first CD before we break, the rock stuff, and then we'll cover the acoustic stuff afterwards. So some of the personnel on this one, again, we have Dave Grohl, Nate Mendel, Taylor Hawkins, Chris Shiflett, but then we're adding in some other people. We got Joe Beebe. Oh.
Hey, there's Uncle Joe.
Doing guitar on Virginia Moon. Danny Clinch doing the harmonica solo on another round, and we'll talk about that harmonica solo as we go.
All right.
Petra Hayden does violin on Miracle. Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age does rhythm guitar on Razor. John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin and then was going to do Them Crooked Vultures with Dave Grohl and Josh Homme. So this is kind of where they started that collaboration. Does piano on Miracle and mandolin on another round. And then Rami Jaffe, who would end up being their permanent keyboard player, does keyboards on Still, What If I Do, Another Round, Over and Out, On the Mend, and Cold Day in the Sun. Nora Jones does vocals and piano on Virginia Moon. And then the producer Nick Raskulinitz, and I keep butchering his name, does double bass on the Mend and bass on Cold Day in the Sun. So let's go through the first CD and talk about what songs are good and what songs are bad. So we start off with the title track, In Your Honor. A real guitar noise start, almost like a feedback type of thing. Then the riff kicks in with Dave's screaming vocals. But then the rest of the band comes in at 140. A little too long of a wait for me, but it's a really good payoff. It feels very much more like an intro track than a song proper, because it's all build the whole song. It's just like a crescendo to the rest of the album. There's a real cool riff after the second chorus, though, that changes up the song. And then a sudden stop before the band kicks it high gear with a real awesome, cool, fast-paced jammy part towards the end. And I love when they go into like the jammy part when the Taylor Hawkins is just letting the drum ride and then the band follows away. Then we go No Way Back. This is my first favorite song on the album. Real great rocker right from the start. Real nice solo that keeps the energy high. It's just a catchy tune. This was on one of the Guitar Heroes as well, I believe. And then we go into Best of You. This is another classic for Foo Fighters. Dave's vocals are just so heartfelt, but they're screaming. Like, you can feel the emotion behind them. And it's just a real classic Foo Fighters song. There's not much you can add to it. DOA, cool stop-start riff with some light cymbal work at the beginning, but then the full band kick in again. Really solid chorus. I love the chorus in this one. Taylor's drumming is just fantastic on this album, and this song is a real good showcase of it. A nice bridge section. I love how they do bridges with a catchy riff. This is one of my favorites on the album as well. Hell almost seems to blend right in from DOA. It's a sweet transition, and it's a nice short song, a bit chaotic feeling. It feels like there's a lot going on, and there's things coming at you from every angle. Very interesting. And then we go into the last song. It feels like it should come from the color and the shape with the drums and the riff at the beginning. It almost feels like that. It has that kind of signature, like, the drums that I associate with that album. A very catchy sound. A repetitive chorus at first with, this is the last song, over and over. But the second part is really cool, the chorus that I really enjoy. And then Free Me, real heavy riff that's bouncy as hell. I wish it was in the song more. It's kind of a waltz beat in the verses, which is interesting. It's like a 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. The riff comes back in with a force towards the middle, and then again at the end, the riff that I'm talking about. It's just a really fantastic earworm riff for me. Resolve almost has a country feel at the beginning. It's a mid-tempo breather song that kind of takes you down from Free Me. The Deepest Blues Are Black, another mid-tempo but very cool, heavier chorus compared to the softer verses, doing the soft loud that they used to have back in the early days, and that they got from Nirvana, were the soft verses, and then the loud chorus that I really like for the band. And then the end of the rock section, End Over End. Nice jangly guitars. I love the guitar sound in this song. A cool, simple solo part towards the back end to spice things up. It ends with a nice build-up of instruments for a cool, epic finale, and that's how the electric side ends. So, BC, what did you think of the electric side? No, never mind. BB, what did you think of the electric side of the In Your Honor?
I really like this one. This is, like I said, I did not have this album, so pretty much today probably was the first time I listened to it front to back. I was pleasantly surprised. I don't know why I lost them after One by One, but this I enjoyed this one better than One by One. I even thought it was a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
And the only thing I didn't like about this album, I would have easily 100% just for the fun giggly factor, I would have put the last song the last song because it actually fits. It's catchy. It has some great riffs into it.
Yeah, I agree.
It really could have been that album closer that kind of grabbed you because I wasn't sold on the End Over End song. I thought that if they flip-flopped those two songs, I think I would have really, really enjoyed this one better. And plus, like I said, the funny factor of the last song being the last song. But a couple of other ones I really, really enjoyed. Of course, Best of You. That was their big hit from the album. There's some amazing guitar work here. More kick-ass screaming from Dave. Couple more tempo time changes, which are fantastic. Bombastic drums on this song.
Yeah.
Hawkins just really, really kills it on this whole album. He's easily like one of those, like the MVP of this album. I really love his whole drum tone on this album. He just beats the Skins to death. Another song I really, really liked, No Way Back.
Yeah.
Chugging start, more time changes and tempo changes, more screaming vocals, easily like right in that wheelhouse of the Foo Fighters song that I like. DOA is another great song. No BC, not the Van Halen, the Foo Fighters.
They would cover the hell out of that, though.
That would be fantastic. More great guitar work, more groovy guitar work. Definitely one of the toe tappers on the album. And then I found myself today, I'm like playing like air drums to this song when I was listening to it today. Fantastic. But I think you and I are on the same boat. My favorite one off this album is Free Me. After that first verse, when that song kicks in, it's a great building song. It seems like after every verse it gets heavier and heavier and heavier. And that is the wheelhouse of the Foo Fighters that I really, really like. Yeah. And I was pleasantly surprised how I enjoyed the front half of this album.
Yeah. Now, BC, am I right to think that you did not listen to this album?
I did not listen to this album because I misunderstood the text, and I checked out the whole Skin and Bones from 2006.
Okay. So the live album you listened to.
Yeah. I don't even see... What is that, Apple Music?
Yeah, well, okay. So do you have notes for Skin and Bones?
It really did not... I was let down.
It's an acoustic live album.
I like acoustic.
Yeah.
And I was like looking forward to that. And it was all right, but it's very mellow. And
it is, yeah.
Oh, I was looking for like...
You want mellow? Just wait till we talk about the second CD.
Yeah. But I was very let down by the Skin and Bones.
Yeah.
I like acoustic, but it was just...
I like the title track for that. That's probably got the most energy.
Yeah.
I like the cover of Everlong, like the acoustic version of Everlong on that. Like, that's really a cool reinvention of the song.
That one, Best of You is not bad.
Yeah. Some of them you could probably comment on for our second acoustic part if you were to look up the...
Jesus said that, I was like...
But, okay, that's okay. It's not an episode unless something happens like that. But yeah, that I really like this first CD. This is a really solid showcasing for the band. And if this was the only thing that they had put out, I would be like, yeah, this is a fantastic album.
It's a great comeback from all the bad problems you had.
Yeah, honestly. And all these songs are great. The singles are fantastic. I really like Best of You is just one that resonates with you. It's almost like their later version Everlong in terms of the emotional impact of it. And they do those songs really well. Like Times Like These is very much that kind of song where it's just that uplift. But I really love the rockin' stuff on this. It's really fantastic. But we have to give up the rocking for a little bit. We're going to go to the acoustic CD. But before we do that, we're going to do our Hidden Gems. So our Hidden Gems song that we're going to lead into is going to be a song that we talked about on our Guitar Hero episode that we were all taken with. It's Take It Off by the Donnas.
Yes.
Great song, really rockin' song from an all-female group. Really great. If you haven't listened to it, you're going to listen to it in just a few moments. So Take It Off by the Donnas. Welcome back. That was Take It Off by the Donnas. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Great song, great group. Definitely check them out if you were interested in that song. So, Hidden Gem time. I'll go first this time. My Hidden Gem actually came from when we were recording our 200th episode, and we found out that Cher did a version of a song that we talked about a little bit because she dated Gene Simmons for a brief time. On her
there's a spoiler.
There's
a spoiler.
Little chestnut.
See if anybody picks up on it.
Yeah. Off her Love Hurts album in 1991, Cher does a cover of World Without Heroes. And let me tell you, it's more rocking than the Kiss version. Because you have Steve Lukather doing the guitar and solo in it. He produces it. So it's much more rocking. It doesn't have the light fluty stuff in the original music for the older version. It's got like a 80s power ballad feel to it from Cher. it's a rockin' version. Good solo in it too.
That's why they broke up.
Yeah.
That's what it broke.
That was
She
the,
did
that
Kiss
was the
better
nail in
than
the
Kiss.
coffin. Yep.
Dude, Kiss better than-
So yeah, Cher's cover of A World Without Heroes. That's my hidden gem. BB, what do you got?
Let's go back to 1990. Let's go right in my wheelhouse where I like all this music. We got big hair. We got shredding guitars. We got a band, Hurricane Alice. And it's one of those hurricanes that you can't spell hurricane right. They got to change it up. Hericane, Alice. Released an album in 1990 called Tear the House Down. Front to back, fantastic album. Once again, those bands that are in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, they got lost in the shuffle because of just oversaturation of all these guys. Wild, Young, and Crazy, Bad to Love, Dream Girl, great 1, 2, 3 punch to open up the album. But easily, if you're in that melodic 80s, hard guitar work, fantastic album. Tear the House Down by Hurricane Alice.
Very nice. I have not heard of that. BC, I think, has, judging from...
BC, you can just pull out a name out of the hat, and BC's heard them.
Oh, but on vinyl.
Malarkey Jones?
It's probably like a $900 album.
I saw Malarkey Jones in their first show down in the...
down in Moran's bar. They played in the alleyway.
No, I actually got that when it first came out.
Really?
Because the drummer and the, I want to say bass player, I believe after kind of Hurricane Alice kind of faded out, they jumped into another band, Bannon Choir or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of them.
Okay.
And look, they came out. I'm sorry, they came out with something in 2020. So I'm curious to hear that.
Yeah,
They're still going.
still going.
BC, what do you got?
I'm coming to modern day, 2021. I was surfing the music net or whatever you want to call it. I'm a sucker for Southern hard rock, and these guys are called the Georgia Thunderbolts. They're coming from Rome, Georgia. It's just like Leonard Skinner with the touch of Ozzy, and just
interesting.
It's stuck out, and I'm like, ooh, I gotta write this down, and I'm getting better at putting stuff in my notes because I can't remember my names half the time. So I made sure I put this down so I can use it for like Jim. But they only have like an EP out right now, and it's only digital and like 5-song EP. Like, so you want to change the world, Spirit of a Working Man, Looking for an Old Friend, very Southern but very heavier Southern, a little heavier than Skinner it is. Most of them are.
Right.
But,
Nice.
very good. Check them out.
Cool. So our hidden gems this week, I had Cher's cover of A World Without Heroes by Kiss,
I have to listen to that.
featuring
I have
Steve
to.
Lukather. BB had Hurricane Alice, Tear the House Down. BC has the Georgia Thunderbolts. Only have an EP out. Hoping for bigger and better things for them. So check those out if you haven't already. I definitely will, and I hope everybody will check out Cher doing Kiss better than Kiss. I'm sure I'll get hate mail for that. Okay, so moving on. We're still on In Your Honor, but we're on to the acoustic CD. Dave Grohl called this the Jack and Coke album, and he called it the Party and the Hangover, as like the party is the rock stuff, and then the hangover is this acoustic CD. So I had never actually listened to this acoustic CD because I was always a little intimidated by it because it's all acoustic of Foo Fighters, and they do acoustic well, but I'm into Foo Fighters for the rock and stuff. That's my Foo Fighters brand. Wasting Light is my favorite album from them, which is basically just a hard punching rock album. So I was a little intimidated listening to this for the very first time, and I will tell you my thoughts right now. So we open up with Still, a very soft song, mysterious undertones behind the vocals and guitar, almost droning vocals at times. It gets you to a bit of trance. There's a metronome drum kind of thing hitting the rim of the snare just the entire time, keeping time almost. That's really the only percussion we get in this song. The next song, What If I Do? More dynamic with the brush drums this time. He's using the brush sticks and more pronounced vocals and guitar. There's an electric acoustic solo of sorts, which I kind of enjoyed. Miracle. Little piano action on this song in the background that adds a nice dynamic, and that's all I wrote for that song. Another round, I wrote harmonica solo, which was cool. I do like a good harmonica solo. Vince Neil maybe did it, who knows? Or he had somebody do it and he pretended. Friend of a friend. I get very much Something in the Way / Polly vibes from the song. Nirvana songs that are very much low-key, kind of acoustic-y songs where how Dave is singing, it's very much kind of a very laid-back but still a little haunting vocal. And then there's a solo acoustic guitar underneath with him. I did not write anything for the songs Over and Out, On the Mend, or Virginia Mood. Then the second to last song is Cold Day in the Sun. Taylor Hawkins sings it. Nice change of pace. It's a little more upbeat of a song. I enjoyed it. And then I wrote nothing for Razor. So, as you can see, I was not taken by this acoustic CD. I was kind of bored by it. It just all meshed together in my head. I tried to take notes on it, and I just couldn't find anything. No, there's like acoustic guitar and Dave singing. Acoustic guitar and Dave singing. And, the lyrics are okay. Foo Fighters are never really known for their lyrics as much because he goes from the Nirvana school of write the music and then the lyrics after. So it's they never really stuck out to me. It was tough to listen to. This was probably the hardest thing to listen to for this episode, in my opinion.
In 199 episodes.
No, I'm not out of. I'm in this episode. I'm saying. No, I've listened to much worse. Yeah. So BC, you didn't listen to this, but you might have listened to some of the songs on Skin and Bones.
Yes, I did, and all the ones that you said are on the Skin and Bones are, like you said, there's nothing really grabbing, like very blah acoustic, and I'm an acoustic guy. I was disappointed.
Okay, BB, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this acoustic album, like with Dave having his kind of like seeds coming out of Seattle. When I first listened to this, all I could think about is like one of those coffee shops for in Seattle.
Yeah,
and everybody's kind of like mellowed out. And there's a guy with a one snare drum and an acoustic guitar, and they're just kind of relaxing and just playing and singing. Like, I'm on the same boat as you, BC. I love an acoustic song, but I want a sprinkle of like a little bit of kick-ass in that acousticness.
Rockin' acoustic.
And there was very, very little, if any at all, on this album of rocking acoustic. Like I said, very mellow acoustic. Nothing over the top. I thought what would have been a great thing if they actually took the songs in your honor and kind of made them acoustic.
Did acoustic covers on them.
Did like acoustic, and then here's our rockin' album of all these songs, and here's the acoustic. But and that's why I'm not the Foo Fighters. Like a couple points I liked Over and Over and On the Mend. There were some spotlights that were in those songs which were catching to the ear. Another round, like Dylan said, there was a little harmonica solo, and there was a little. I want to say there may have been a little banjo in there too.
I think there was
something going on there. A different strumming instrument in that song, which really really cool. I think the one that I really really liked was Miracle. Oddly enough, with the piano, because you're really not used to hearing like the piano in like a Foo Fighters song, and even the little violins. It was like a nice little like sprinkle, like a little sprinkle on the ice cream. It was a nice little change of pace for that song, putting violins in the background. But it was a tough listen if you want like a like us, or like we want something rocking, and this was a little bit too easy.
Yeah.
Too easy of an acoustic album.
Yeah, it felt like a lot of the songs there wasn't enough to them. A lot of them felt like Skin and Bones to talk about the. And actually, that's my favorite acoustic song of theirs, and it's not even on this album. It's on the live album.
Oh, right.
Because it has that's a much more dynamic acoustic song for me. But yeah, it was a fun concept. I like the idea of having a rocking CD and an acoustic CD, and you take your pick, but I don't think the execution was as well as it could have been.
No.
But at least the first CD was good.
Yes,
we have that. So we could use one coaster and one for an actual CD. So In Your Honor comes out June 2005. It does not win any Grammys. It breaks the streak. They tour in September and October with Weezer, and they call it the Foozer Tour. And then they play their largest non-headlining festival to date at Hyde Park, and they have special guest Lemmy come out, and he does a Probot song, Shake Your Blood, with them, because that was Dave Grohl's like metal album that he did. And then Brian May and Roger Taylor come on to play We Will Rock You and then Tie Your Mother Down. But then they do a short acoustic tour, and that's where they get the Skin and Bones album / DVD, and they bring in a bunch of different guest musicians like Rami Jaffe, who would later join the band, Drew Hester, Petra Hayden, and interestingly enough, Pat Smear, who, if you may remember, was their rhythm guitarist at the very beginning of the band. And that's a name that's going to come back up later on, because he's going to rejoin the band after this album that we're going to be talking about. But he's touring with them. For right now, he's not on the albums as of yet, barring, a song or two. But it's a name that popped up again. So Dave, after performing, the Skin and Bones tour, whatever it was called, he really thought he was really looking forward to doing different shows that like appealed to different audiences. Like you could have a rock show and you could have an acoustic show. And I guess the president of RCA was like, you could do both together. And Dave's like, oh my God, you can. And that's the concept that he came up with for this album, is basically In Your Honor, but just one album and only the good stuff together. And they, they did that, and they came out with the album Echoes, Silence, Patience, and Grace in September 5th, 2007, produced by Gil Norton, who a little bit of a different guy. He produced a lot of different bands, Counting Crows, Jimmy Eat World, the Pixies, Echo and the Bunnymen, a lot of bands that I'm sure my dad would be rolling his eyes at. So he's more of an like an alternative producer, as opposed to a rock producer. And this album has probably one of their biggest songs as well, and this is kind of what thrust them back into the limelight, as it were. So some personnel tracks. Again, we have Dave, Nate, Taylor, and Chris. But then we have Drew Hester for percussion on Come Alive, Let It Die, Cheer Up Boys, Your Makeup Is Running, Long Road to Ruin, and Summer's End. Rami Jaffe comes back for keyboards on some songs. Brantley Kearns Jr. does fiddle. Cocky King does acoustic guitar. Pat Smear does rhythm guitar on Let It Die. And then the Section Quartet does some string work. And Oliver Allgood does lute. So the songs on this album, Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace. We open up with The Pretender. Let me tell you, I listened to all these albums back to back. So I listened to One by One, then I listened to In Your Honor, Rockin', then Acoustic. And I'm getting to the end of the acoustic, and I'm like, oh my God. I
Thank
need
God
a break.
that's over.
I need a break. And then The Pretender comes on, and it's like a breath of fucking fresh air, where this is the Foo Fighters I want. This is the song that got me into the band. This was big when I was in just getting into high school, and this song was playing on the radio, and I was like, who are these guys? What the hell is this? This is fantastic. It's just a fantastic rocker, great build. Everybody in the band's firing in all cylinders. The music video for it's very cool too. They're like in a white room and like there's riot guys, and they have like the blast of like.
I forgot about the video.
The video is very cool for that. If you haven't seen it, very very awesome opener. They know how to do album openers like nobody else. Then they go into Let It Die, another single. Starts acoustic, and I'm like, uh-oh. Well, I knew this song, but you're thinking, uh-oh, are they back to the acoustic?
Oh, no.
But it's a slow building song, and Dave shows his full vocal range. He does the quiet vocals, and he does the screaming vocals at the end. Then there's a sudden electric kick-in that startles you with its power. And then there's a real great solo-y part 3/4 in. It has a lot of impact thanks to the acoustic beginning and the build-up. And the screaming end is amazing. And then we go into Erase Replace. Different kind of riff to start it off that almost sounds out of tune a little bit, but then it goes into a fast-picking riff, and the drums are going along in a real cool way. The harmonic bridge with the vocals is really awesome. This is another great song just to keep the streak going. Then we go into Long Road to Ruin, another single from the album. A nice upbeat poppy tune. This is a good feel-good song for me. Very good single, I think. And then we go into Come Alive. Acoustic soft beginning again. You're thinking you're going to get the full acoustic song, but yet again it starts building up with the drums, and then the song comes alive a little bit with some electric guitar, and Dave sings "Come Alive" a million times, but then the song really kicks in with a kick-ass guitar riff from Chris Shiflett. Drum changes tempo into a little more get up and go towards the end, and then it goes wild with the fills to play us out, as Taylor Hawkins can only do. Then we go into Stranger Things Have Happened. There's a weird cranking sound at the beginning that I was like, is that in the album, or am I just listening to hearing that somewhere else? Then there's some acoustic, the metronome clicking guitar, drum rim hitting through the beginning, almost whispered vocals at first. More acoustics enter for the chorus. It's a really good acoustic song for me. This is like how you should do the acoustic songs. Nice, tasteful acoustic solo. If the songs were like this on In Your Honor, I would have been more into the album. Cheer Up Boys, Your Makeup is Running. This is a good rocker to bring the tempo back up again. Bombastic full band start. Real fun song. I call it a nice jaunty tune in my notes. Fun little solo. A real great song. And then we go to Summer's End. This is almost like a southwestern gunslinger type guitar tone at the beginning. I really enjoy it. A nice lighter chorus. There's a great guitar solo from Chris Shiflett, and we finally get to see a little bit more of his guitar playing chops, and I really enjoy that. Then we do the Ballad of the Beaconsfield Miners. This is just kind of a little fun acoustic picking experiment that's, just a little short ditty. That's not an actual song. It's just kind of a fun little riff off. Then statues, right? Statues, because it autocorrect the statuses. Piano is very prominent in the song. I put the Dave Goes Elton a little bit in this song. Southern Steel style guitar solo a little bit at times, and then it goes into a little more bluesy solo tone towards the end, but it's a really solid song. But honestly, acoustic beginning, then we get the halfway through electric and full band. We get a lot of that this album, where the band kind of picks up and it's a growing thing. And then it starts to build up in a really cool riff as the band lets loose. But then the riff fades out too soon. I wanted more of that, like we were saying earlier, I wanted more of that riff at the end. That's a really cool rocking part. And then at the end, we have Home. We have a piano again, very reflective ending. The piano is the main instrument. But then we get some strings coming in for backup with the drums. And they end the album on a little bit of a dud, in my opinion. If they ended on But Honestly and extended out the jam at the end, would have been awesome. But I very much enjoyed this album, especially right after the acoustic CD of In Your Honor. This is very solid guitar work from Chris Shiflett. Taylor Hawkins is on full tilt as usual, and Dave's vocals, he's sounding better and better. BC, what did you think of this one?
I like this one. I mean, again, like I said about his vocals, to me, his vocals are better on this album, to me at least.
Yeah.
With the Pretender, vocally, I love it. The drums, it's just rocking. Let It Die, like I said, start off a little mellow, and I like when it kicks into parts. And again, the thing that grabs me about the Foo Fighters is when you start screaming. Love it. Erase, Replace. I just have after that drums. That's what gets it for me on that song. The Long Road to Ruin. I just have down okay, radio-ish. Come Alive, decent tune. Stranger Things Have Happened. Acoustic start and throughout the song, decent. Cheers Up Boy, Your Makeup is Running. Upbeat rockin' tune again. Summer's In, like it has a country feel, and I thought that was different for Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
And then the Ballad of Beaconsfield Miners. Again, I said more country feel. Statues is enjoyable. I could have pinpointed anything about this song, but it was enjoyable to listen. But honestly, okay, till the parts where it kicks in, and then they finish off with Home, which I guess I have down piano / slow tune.
Okay, BB, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of go backwards. I think Home was like you said before. I think that was just a big dud to close the album with. You could have put something else there. And then another problem I had with Come Alive. Like, it's a great song, but if he doesn't say Come Alive 132 times, like I would be more sucked into it.
Yeah, no, he says it too much.
But the three songs that I really liked, Statues I thought was really cool. Very more like a Beatles song to me. And it different to hear like a piano be like the main instrument in a Foo Fighters song.
Yeah.
And then with the solo of the piano and guitar, I'm sucked right in. That's my peanut butter and jelly. The piano and the guitar, I'm sucked right in. Love that solo in the middle of that song. Another one that was kind of on the slow side that I really, really, really liked was Stranger Things Have Happened.
Yeah.
And once again, exactly what you said before, Dylan. It's a great song. I love the chorus, how it sounds like it's almost like sung in a bathroom. There's a different echo going on in this whole song. There's an acoustic solo, which was really, really great. And then I have written down, I wish more of the songs on In Your Honor acoustic was like this, because this was a little, this had more of a sprinkle of grabbing you,
Yeah, absolutely.
than anything else on that whole album. But it was just that tone, like it was like in like a bathroom, echoey vocal sound. I thought was really, really cool. And how can you not talk about The Pretender? My favorite Foo Fighter song, front to back, pedal to the metal, just jam a fist right down your throat, because this song is front to back, fucking tastic.
Yeah. I want to say they opened with The Pretender when we saw them, which really great opener.
I would have saw that song and said good night because I'm done. I just think that song is that good.
It's fantastic. Like it has the ebbs and flows of like All My Life, where you got the quiet start, and then it just kicks
jumps
in,
right
and
out at you.
Then it has it takes it back a little bit, and then it goes again. That's how I like the Foo Fighters, when it's just like it knows when to punch at you, and it knows when to hold back, and it knows when to go full force. And The Pretender and All My Life are two songs that I think they showcase that perfectly,
right?
In my opinion. But yeah, these were solid albums. There were some solid songs on these albums, I would say. I think that do you think that any songs really didn't fit in the album that they were in, or do you think that they were all pretty well fit for each album?
Yeah, I think that's a tough one, because there are like certain songs that like they get you. Like there'll be like the one song, boom, and like front to back. Like we'll do the bookends. The Pretender, like it grabs you. It got you now. And then to close the album with Home, you're like, it's like a momentum killer.
Yeah.
Like, and then we said before, there's so many songs that they sound different, and their arrangements are different, and it's tough to grab the Foo Fighters because they go in so many different directions with their music.
Yeah.
So it's, you say, like, we all love when Dave Grohl screams vocals. Like, imagine if they just put out an album and he just screams all these vocals.
Yeah.
And I think that would be like an amazing selling Foo Fighters album, but they just go in so many different odd directions. I think your question is tough to answer, because there are kind of so many songs that somewhat don't fit, because it's not the Foo Fighters that you want.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's so weird because each album is just so... I feel like this era is probably the era that sounds the most similar. But even then, there's like so many like differences in the thing, because, I mean, Wasting Light sounds nothing like Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace.
Right.
Completely different sounding albums. I mean, one was recorded on reel to reel, so it does sound different. But like their most recent album, Medicine at Midnight, you would not even think it's the same band. Like, it's completely different style that they're approaching the songs from. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like that the band keeps reinventing itself, but it's also frustrating at the same time, because sometimes they'll hit what you want and then they'll just go right past it. Right. And I'm like, no,
come back.
Because Wasting Light was what I liked, and they kind of did a little bit of it with Sonic Highways, but then Concrete and Gold, they kind of just kept going. I'm like, oh,
like Rope. Rope, for example. That's
Rope
a
is a fantastic song. Yeah.
Like that and The Pretender are the songs that you want. Like
yeah.
That, and then they just they go in so many different musical directions, and sometimes you lose them.
I could respect them for wanting to do that, for wanting to constantly reinvent. And it's definitely not... You definitely can't feel them being too trendy. Sometimes you can hear a little bit of like modern rock, quote unquote, aspects to them, like having like kind of the lack of solos a little bit, and some more popish stuff going forward. But I think that they stay true to themselves and what they want to do at any given time, which it might work, it might not. That's just the nature of the business. BC, what do you think of it? What's your thoughts on that?
The whole thing?
Yeah, what's your thoughts on everything?
The one by one. The first part of the album had me, and then they lost me when you're talking about just going out.
Yeah.
In Your Honor, to rock it. I did listen to this one. You confused me with the second album part that threw me way off. To me, this is more Foo Fighters to me, with the No Way Back, Best of You, Free Me.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, it's just very more rock and vocally. The vocals in this band is what brings me in. And of course, last one, The Pretender. And, good blend of overall things, but I'm a screaming guy when it comes to the Foo Fighters. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what. When he starts, and you can tell he's like giving it. I mean, to me, that grabs me.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the Rocketer tunes.
Yeah.
But when they get a little bit more mellower, I guess, in some parts, like in that one by one, they lost me at the end of the album. It was too up and down, up and down. Up and down.
Yeah.
But no, it was a fun episode.
Yeah. I don't know if I would be able to rank them personally, but what do you guys rank wise? What do you think? We could just say that the acoustic CD is last.
Easily the last one, right? I would say In Your Honor would be my favorite.
Okay.
Then followed by One, and then the Echo, Silence, Patient, and Grace would be my third.
Okay. Yeah, it's so tough for me because each album has songs that I love, and then there are just parts that I don't like as much. So I don't listen to these songs front to back, like these albums front to back. I listen to Wasting Light front to back. I keep harping on that. I listen to The Color and the Shape front to back. These ones I cherry pick.
Right. So imagine like the olden days of making like a cassette.
Yeah.
Say, hey, listen to these guys, and you put all like their rockin' songs. Oh my God, these guys are awesome! I'm gonna go buy their CD.
Very surprised.
And half of the songs are like, what the heck is wrong with
this?
these? What the?
Yeah.
I thought these songs are great, and then all these other ones kind of float in there, and you're like, what happened?
Yeah. BC, what about you? What are your rankings?
Out of these, In Your Honor would definitely be my number one pick. And probably one by hair.
Okay.
Because the first part's good, the first half's good, and the second half kind of loses me.
Yeah. I just, All My Life is such a good fucking opener. Mm-hmm. And that's my favorite song. It's so good, but yeah, the back half is weaker than the first half. I would probably agree with you guys in that, honestly, in that ranking. Because I think In Your Honor, the rock and stuff is really good. No Way Back is fantastic. DOA is great. Best of You, Times Like These is not. That's a one by one. But yeah, they're just such good rocking songs. And the acoustic CD is like the anchor on the bottom of the ship holding it down for me. If they did stuff more like Stranger Things Have Happened, if that album was full of songs like that, I'd be on board. I would be really into it because Stranger Things Have Happened, great acoustic song. Right. But the rest of the acoustic songs did not live up to my expectations. But, overall, this was a fun episode, I think. Definitely, mostly a fun episode, I'll say. Definitely an interesting topic because this is such a tumultuous period for the band, and they're going through so much growth, and ultimately they're going to end up with their finalized lineup right after this album when Pat Smear returns to the band, and they have the 3-guitar lineup that Maiden has. And it really builds up their sounds, and then they do Wasting Light, which is just a really good guitar-driven album, and it showcases each of the guitarists. But this is just, it's interesting to hear the band go from a 3-piece to like a 12-piece with the Skin and Bones Orchestra to a 4-piece, and then back to a 5-piece because Dave, it's doing double duty. But what are your guys' final thoughts on this episode? BC, what do you think?
Like I said, Foo Fighters has never been my wheelhouse. Always enjoyed, I guess you would say, the hits, and I enjoy their live stuff more than actual albums. Mm-hmm. I'm a live guy to begin with, but fun overall. And like I said, I was disappointed with the acoustic stuff.
Yeah. what's really frustrating to me is that they don't have a full live electric album. They have a live DVD. They have live songs on some of the EPs that they released. They released like a bunch of EPs that have like different live songs and stuff, but like never a full live album front to back that isn't acoustic that they could just put on, because they did a show at Wembley Stadium, and the crowd, it was sold out. The crowd was packed, and it was actually right after this era, so they sold out Wembley, and like the crowd, it's a sea of people. And I wish they had like a live album of it instead of
just the stage comes out.
Yeah, he goes out on the stage.
Yeah, that like you said, that was an album.
And like listening to the crowd sing along to the one part of "Best of You,"
right.
you get chills. It's amazing. But what do you think, BB? Final thoughts?
Yeah, definitely a great album. Like how we piggyback when these guys were away. I love when the Podfester is away and we can do what we want.
The mice can play.
The Podfester is away, the mice will play. But another great episode. I love these guys, and I'm glad we kind of covered this, because, like I said, after One by One, I kind of like lost them a little bit. But that Pretender song like sucked me right back in. Fantastic stuff, and easily it's one of those episodes that it brings you to listen to stuff you haven't listened to at all, or kind of freshen up like what you used to listen to. So I can't wait to actually throw some of these songs in my phone to one of those days, just let my playlist go crazy, because there are some amazing heavy songs in their catalog, but there are also some not so heavy. But like we're all of us here, like we want the Screaming Dave, we're the Screaming Dave fans. So like when they're live, he does a lot of the screaming stuff. So he changes a lot of the tempo from these songs. He kind of heavies them up a little bit. That's why I think they're a fantastic live band.
Yeah, and he had blown out his voice at one point because he was screaming so much, and he was starting to sound bad. But then the pandemic happened, so he was able to rest it. So I was actually really happy that he was able to do that, because they sounded good in that Amazon Christmas thing they did.
Right.
He sounded real good, despite Shame still being not a great song. Yeah, this is probably the last era that we could cover on the podcast that I could unabashedly be like, yeah, you guys are going to really like this stuff. I mean, because we can't really cover Wasting Light again, because we already did it.
Right.
So then it would be Sonic Highways, which I think you guys would like, and then Concrete and Gold, probably not, and then Menacing at Midnight, maybe a song or two. So, this might be the last Foo Fighters episode for a while, but you never know. I always love covering bands like this, because it's different. Yeah, exactly. And it's not the same kind of music that we listen to. It's a very different route that they take in terms of rock. And it's so interesting that people can take a genre and go a million different directions with it. You could, have hard rock, you could have kind of pop rock, you could have, rap rock, you could have grunge, you could have new metal, stuff like that. You could just like take like a simple thing and then make it your own. And I think Foo Fighters do a really good job with that. They really make it their own thing, and I really appreciate it. But I also appreciate all of you for listening. You could check out a good playlist of our songs that we liked from this episode on the Spotify playlist of the week. That's going to be probably no songs from the acoustic CD. Maybe one. I might throw one on there just to be nice. Yeah, just to be nice. But most of them will be from the 3 Electric albums, because they're good. There's some good stuff on that. But if you enjoy any of the stuff on the acoustic CD, please let us know. Let us know what we're missing. If you really love the acoustic CD of In Your Honor and you're screaming at your computer, why do you guys hate it so much? Let us know why you like it, because we really want to appreciate music that you appreciate. And sometimes we might, if we're cued a certain way, we might listen to it with a different ear. So definitely let us know what you think of these albums on Facebook. Give us a share on iTunes and the podcasts, everywhere you can get podcasts. Give us a share and give us a like. We love listening to your feedback, and we love you listeners in general. So we will see you next time, and there definitely will be a next time.